Hey, you. You're finally awake.
G'day Smut Squad and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to be talking about God tier Super Nintendo JRPGs. These are the best of the best in my opinion. I think these are some of the greatest games on the Super Nintendo for the JRPG genre. And you're not going to be seeing Breath of Fire 1 and 2 because I hate them. I hate those games with an absolute passion. Now, some of you may already be going to the comment section with absolute anger, and that's fine. If you want to hit that dislike button, that's fine too, because I think those games are a pile of poo-poo. I can't swear because it is the first 30 seconds. I also want to say thank you to all those well wishes I received because Goten was in hospital for a few days. He's okay. He picked up severe tonsillitis and then got dehydrated because of it. Who knew an 11-year-old could get tonsillitis that badly? But either way, he's out. My wife was an absolute hero being with him for the full 3 days, and he's now at home having a nice little nap, so I wanted to do what I do best. Make videos and potentially mock things, and maybe mock some people. I don't know. I took all your Final Fantasy VI and Final Fantasy VII comments, so I will be making a video mocking everybody because it's all good fun. As always, if you do think I deserve it, please hit that hype button and hit the like button because that is what helps the channel grow. You can also subscribe to become a member of the Smut Squad. We've also got that weekly podcast where you can go back and listen to the episodes where I talked about Breath of Fire 1 and 2, well, separate episodes, and explain why I hate them so much. But it is a good, fun time, okay? If you think I'm just pooing on them for a reason, have a listen to those podcast episodes, and I swear I'll give you a giggle. Alright, that's what I do. I try and make people laugh with stupidity. As always, if you don't agree with this list, and you're completely okay to do so, although you're wrong, put it in the comments below. Right, let's get into it, shall we? The God tier RPGs for the Super Nintendo. Tactics Ogre, Let Us Cling Together. Yeah, I'm straight away going with this, the quest masterpiece. You play as Demon Pavel, a young resistance fighter caught in the middle of a bloody ethnic war conflict on the Valerian Islands. You're not just fighting monsters here, you're navigating a civil war filled with betrayal, genocide, and shifting loyalties. Now, as we know, I love Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. It's one of my favourite games of all time. This is that game on absolute crack, because well, in Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, you can use 6. Here, you've got about 12 you can use, and battles can go for absolutely ages. They take place on that 3D perspective grid alignment map with that isometric view, but it's absolutely awesome because the stages are huge, there's loads of characters, and you're going to be there all bloody day. There's also an alignment system which basically influences which way you decide to go with the story. So one of them is where you've got to massacre a village. Fun times! And that could take you either into the lawful, neutral, or chaotic paths, completely changing which characters will join you and how the war ends and what ending you're gonna get. So basically put it like this, it's a huge game which you can complete 3 times. So lock in, you're not gonna have any time to yourself ever again. Now this game did ditch the top-down view of Fire Emblem for the isometric perspective, which allows for verticality so archers gain range from rooftops and knights struggle to climb steep cliffs. The Super Nintendo handled these layered multi-height maps beautifully, without any problems, and you can completely tell where you're going the whole time. The character art in the game is absolutely incredible. It moves from way the anime trope, which I kinda like most of the time, but this goes towards like a grounded medieval European look. The artwork's so good it still holds up today, and even the version I've got on the Switch still has that incredible hand-drawn artwork. And unlike a lot of the games on this list, this game is complex. Very complex. I had this game on the PSP when I first played it, the first time I played it, and oh my god, the guidebook is absolutely massive. Either way, it doesn't matter which version you play, it's still dense as anything. Now the question I've got for this game, and yes, I'm going to do it for every single game, is what do you think's better? Tactics Ogre, Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, or Tactics Ogre Knights of Lodis on the Game Boy Advance? Yeah, there's a prequel on the Game Boy, and I've played that as well, bloody awesome. But let me know what you think. Final Fantasy IV. No, I'm not calling it Final Fantasy II, I'm calling it Final Fantasy IV. This was the first time when you can really think the Final Fantasy series went, right, we're stepping up the story here. This is where it's going to go big boys bollocks with our story. We're going to make it big, we're going to make it dark. And it starts off bloody dark. Like you play as Cecil, this Dark Knight and the captain of the elite Red Wings Air Force. And at the start of the game, you basically said, yeah, we just genocided a whole people. Me and Kane, yeah, we just fought crack on. And the thing is, he's not even like, we're gonna do this, fuck it, let's just kill everyone. Oh, I feel guilty afterwards. And we're meant to feel like he's cool. You just killed loads of people. They weren't even fighting against you, you horrible bastard. I'm surprised we even like Cecil. You horrible, horrible guy. where, after being betrayed by his king, decides to rebel and go on an adventure to try and save the world and stop the mysterious Goldblairs from seizing the world's crystals. Now, this game introduced the active time battle, the ATB system, so no longer basically were the enemies like, yeah, you gotta take your turn, you gotta have a go. Now the battles don't stop, constantly, and that changed the whole genre forever. The sense of scale in this game is pretty big because you got the surface world, to the underworld, and then eventually the frickin' moon! And what takes you to the moon? A goddamn whale! Which makes no sense. Like, why the lunar whale? I know that's what it is, but shut up. A whale? Someone's gonna have a go at me for this, but really? Oh my god. Like, I love this game for the characters, I love it for the story. I love it for the bit of the twist where Cecil has to fight himself, and yes, I did fight it properly, eventually, when I figured out what I was meant to do. I did try and fight him, the dark version, a few times. There are some points of the story I go, okay, that's absolutely bollocks. How are these other potentially mysterious heroes fighting these 5 dragons, or 4 dragons, whatever? How the hell are they fighting up against it? And you're just like, yeah, crack on, I'll go fight the main bad guys, you do this. It's also a tale where you keep thinking all your party members keep dying. Every second, everyone's just trying to sacrifice themselves left, right, centre, but then, lo and behold, no one dies. Oh. Apart from one guy. He's the only one who died. Only one person dies in this whole story. It's like, okay. Sacrifice means nothing in this game. Absolutely nothing. But this is a story about redemption, about love, betrayal, friendship, and sacrifice. Yeah, I just put that all together in my head. Final Fantasy IV was an absolutely fantastic game, and that's where it should have ended, because then there was the after years. Just don't play with the after years. Question for those who have played Final Fantasy IV. A bit of a risky one, this one. Is it illegal to now tap that? You know, if you've played the game, you know what I mean. Is it now legal to tap that? Is it wrong? Morally wrong? I think it's morally wrong. Personally, I think it's more. I've had this argument before with people on the podcast. I think it's morally wrong. Is it okay to tap that or not? Give me your answers in the comments below. Dragon Quest V. Well, there was always going to be a Dragon Quest game in here. I like Final Fantasy, I like Dragon Quest. Like, hell, my mate's just come back from Japan, and he's bought me a slime baby onesie thing. It's amazing. It was a big surprise. My wife's looked at me and goes, what the fuck is that? I said, it's a slime. She still looked at me really confused. I was like, we're separate people, me and you, we really are. Now, whereas Final Fantasy IV was an epic scale about redemption, this is basically about biographical storytelling, because you start the game as a 6-year-old boy traveling with your dad, but then basically the story goes over 30 years where you have to endure slavery, you pick a bride, yeah, you get to pick which one you want, and then eventually search for the legendary hero, only to realise your role as prophecy is a bit more personal than you had imagined. It also brought in the monster recruitment system, so long before Pokemon decided to want to do this thing, Dragon Quest V allowed you to convince some of the enemies to join your team. Now, the choice you have is basically you can marry your friend Bianca, the wealthy noblewoman Nera, or later Deborah in the remakes, and this changes basically your children's hair colour and the magical abilities. As always, it's Dragon Quest, so it's got the late great Akira Toriyama's art style, and I just keep thinking this is just Dragon Ball, just give him yellow spiky hair. That's all they need, just give him spiky hair. But the main hook of this game is the 3 generations. You start off as a kid, then you become a teenager, and then you become an adult. That's pretty cool. And because it's over decades, you get to see how things change. Like how different eras the things are. So where towns could have been rebuilt, the children have grown up into adults. There's places you could have gone before, now you can't go there because there's been overgrown stuff. I think that's pretty cool. Like, it's subtle, but it's a brilliant way of using the Super Nintendo to make 3 distinct worlds. But this is quite an intimate game, because essentially, as I said, you start off with a child, and then you end up going to save the world with your family. I look at my family and wonder if we could save the day. Well, we've got 4 of us and the dog, so maybe we can. Maybe I should just raise a bunch of warriors. I think that's the plan. Wife's got no choice. They're off to warrior school. They're going to fight slimes and save the day. Oh, my poor family. Final Fantasy V. Yeah, there's a bit of a theme here. Can we see what's going to be coming later on? Bet you can't.
Now, this is a bit of a light-hearted version compared to what we had in Final Fantasy IV and then later in Final Fantasy VI, as you follow Bart, who's a or Butts, whatever you want to call him, I had to put that in there, a wandering adventurer and his companion, and you have to basically save the 4 elemental crystals from shattering, which you completely fail at because they all shatter, and they end up giving you jobs, and that is where the whole beauty of this game comes in, the job system. This game features 22 distinct jobs, and they range from knights to chemist, and you can swap them at any time. But the genius of this game is that you're able to transfer abilities once you've mastered them. So you could have like a knight with white mage skills, or you could have like the ninja's dual wield as a chemist. And that's pretty cool because it opens up the game to so much more. This essentially is what Final Fantasy III started as, but now is like the ultimate version of this game. And the tone, as I said, is very much of an adventure, fun, stupid, light-hearted moments. And Bart is a perv. He's open a perv, and he doesn't really care about it. And Gilgamesh is in this game. Gilgamesh is the tits. I freaking love Gilgamesh. I love that song, Battle of the Bridge. It's freaking awesome. It's so cool. God, it's so good. But worth mentioning about the job system as well is that every character has their own unique sprite. So Bart's has his own sprite, Farah has their own sprite. That's cool. That's like 100 different character designs. That's really cool. And if you want to have 4 ninjas, you can have 4 ninjas. Now, whilst you can finish the game and go be done with it, the thing that brings people back to this is what's called the 4-job fiesta. Now, I'm not going to go into the 4-job fiesta, but it's basically people do this like an annual thing, where your run is basically dictated by the luck of what jobs you get. And you could be playing with jobs you've never used before, and tough shit, that's what you've got to play with. If you've done a 4-job fiesta before, let me know what you think about it. I'm too scared about doing that thing. Question for everyone with this one. With one particular character, do you only read their text as "Arr, me hearties, arr"? Even when you do find out their lineage, I can still only ever go "Arr, shiver me timbers," and I'll never have it changed any other way. Chrono Trigger. Often considered the best game ever made on the Super Nintendo, and possibly one of the best games of all time. I'll just put it out there now. The question for this is, do you think it is the greatest game on the Super Nintendo? I personally do not think it is. Maybe that's because I was late to the whole Chrono Trigger, the big bandwagon. I'm not saying, well, that's a bad word of putting it. Bandwagon's a wrong word. Basically, the hype, I should say, about that, and it wasn't there at the time. I think it's a great game, as I put it in my top games, but I do not think it's the best game, but let me know what you think. This game essentially was the dream team of Sakaguchi from Final Fantasy, Yuji Horii from Dragon Quest, and Akira Toriyama from Dragon Ball, and it's considered perfection by a lot of people. This game removes a bit of the friction of the 16-bit era, as it removes random encounters and introduces a pretty much seamless battle system where you see an enemy, touch an enemy, and it's battle, and you just jump into it and start doing your special moves, and you can work together, which is pretty cool. The story itself is pretty much all over the place, in a good way. You're Chrono and you go off to Millennium Fair, but it ends up you sending your friend back in time and you have to follow them to becoming a big time hopping adventure where you'll go millions of years back in time to millions of years in the future to where everything is destroyed to other time periods and realize, oh, hang on, that's now working, that's now dead, that's all gone. Because there is a parasitic alien called Lavos who is destined to destroy the world in 1999 AD, and you've got to try and rewrite history to prevent it. And that's pretty cool, because the whole point of this is that there are multiple endings to do this. Like, it depends on when and how you defeat the final boss, as there are over a dozen different endings, which is pretty cool. And all the characters themselves are pretty great. I'm not gonna lie, their artwork is pretty spot on. Except one of them. Who's the chick with the glasses? I hate her. Never liked her. Never hated her. She's always been never used. Frog is a goated character. Chrono's a cool character. I think they're great characters, apart from the girl with the glasses. I just don't like her. Alright, I don't like her. But the music in this game is so beautiful. Like Mitsuda, with some help from Nobuo Uematsu, pushed this console to its absolute limit. The poor guy made himself ill. He put himself in hospital. He did so much work, and it can show because this game is so good. And it's the fact that it does have that replayability. Like, you want to go fight Lavos straight away? Yeah, crack on. You'll probably get your ass handed to you unless you know the game backwards, but it's still fun to do. You want a secret character? Yeah, you got to do it this way, but if you decide to kill the secret character, not knowing he's a secret character, you're not going to get them. Want to find out what Frog actually looks like? Yeah, go do this version. I just think it's awesome. There's so much to do here that, really, it's one of those games you could play once a year and not get bored of it. I said, whilst I do think it's a great game, I don't think it's the best game.
on the Super Nintendo. I don't think it's the best RPG. I think there are others ahead of it. I still think it's really good, and I'm surprised we've never had a remake of it, because I'm pretty sure people will be throwing money at it the moment we got one. Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War. Now, I have banged on about this game many times, and I will keep banging on about this game. It is one of my favourite games ever. I think this is goddamn awesome. And a lot of you would have never played it because it was Japan only, and I'm surprised we've never seen it, or at least had like a Switch remake of it, because we should always have it. You first start off as Sigurd, and then the second half play his son, and all the children of the first generation. Which is pretty cool, because you could pair up all the units from the first one, and their abilities get mixed into their children when it comes to the second one. And the thing is, this game's massive. Unlike other Fire Emblem games, which is usually quite stage-based, like it's like get from there to there and that's your mission. Here, it could be an absolutely huge stage that has 3 parts to it, and essentially it's 3 levels in one. The game worlds are massive, absolutely huge. But also, it's bloody hard. Fire Emblem games are very hard and very long. Get used to it as well. And what makes this game really good? Yes, it does have the time skip, and that's not a new concept. It's the big, oh my fucking god moment in this game. I'm not going to tell you what that is, but it's one of those bits I went, oh my, it really literally did. My jaw hit the floor. And there's not many early Super Nintendo games, or most games that make me do that. So my question related to this game is, what video games made you go, oh my fucking god? Because the shock was that big. Again, if you know what the big twist is in this, don't ruin it. Because it really is a oh my god moment. Do not ruin the twist. I'll be very, very angry. But I loved playing this game. I said, getting to know your first generation, and then when you have your second generation, you feel like an absolute god. And you need to learn how that works. Because if you don't give your characters or the next generation good abilities, they're going to get absolutely screwed when it comes to the second part of the stories. Also, horses rule in this game. Horses go about like 1,000,000 steps compared to humans, which makes sense because they're on a horse, but oh my god, do they start flying across the map. Normally a horse goes, I don't know, 5 steps. In this game, it's like, hey, silver away. It's like, oh, bye-bye. Oh shit, he's off. Horses and flying horses just go so far, and I wasn't used to it. In the first 2 minutes of playing this game, I was like, right, this is not my normal Fire Emblem game, and it's not. If you expect a normal Fire Emblem game, you ain't getting it with this. But either way, it is one of my favourite games of all time. I will fight you in the street. I will take you to the Colosseum and chop your head off. It's very, very vulgar and very, very violent, I know. But I think this is a game which should have got a release at some point. I think everybody should give it a go. I think it's better than Chrono Trigger, and people are going to hate me for that, but that's my opinion. But I still think there's one game, which we can all probably work out what it is, which is still absolutely godlike ahead of all of them. And that is obviously Final Fantasy VI. And coincidentally, I'm actually playing it right now. I'm right at the end of it, because I'm just getting ready for the podcast to do it for episode 250, which is still a year away, but I wanted to play it. I'm currently grinding before I go to Kefka's Tower, and I've thoroughly enjoyed this game. Like, the opening sequence of this game, where you see the 3 Magitech armors walking across the snow, is so cool. It's iconic. Just the slow walk with that music as they go across and they're going off to Narshe. Oh my god, it's so beautiful. The industrial gothic art direction is completely different to whatever they've done in the past. This game is dark. And yes, you think you've got to the end of the game, but then you realise, no, it's only halfway through the game. Although I have realised after playing it now for like the umpteenth time and having a refresh, that the second half of the game, well, after a certain point where a certain character leaves an island, after that point, it's a bit all over the place. I'll say that with the plot. Although that point with the character on the island, oh my god, still heartbreaking. There are still some great iconic moments, even if you don't want to include the spoiler ones, such as that walk there with the 3 Magitech armors, or the opera scene. And I've listened to that song so many times, I was never getting that wrong when I replayed it this time. There are also so many different characters in this game, some secret ones if you want to find them later on, but each of them have their own different playstyles. Some are thieves, some can use karate moves, which is absolute blitz attacks, which are hilarious, basically making them like a Street Fighter, or you can just teach all them Ultima and then just have fun and ruin the game because Ultima's absolutely broken. But with so many characters, you can have so many different combinations. You can have a little girl who paints, along with a man who lives in a wasteland, a Yeti, and a Moogle. Have some fun with that. But that also just means there's replayability in that.
If you want to do it the hard way, you get 4 characters when the game reaches the second part, and with those 4 characters you can go try to take Kefka down. Then there's a magicite system, basically where the summons, or espers in this game, have basically come into the world and got killed. Yeah, Kefka killed a lot of them in one go, which was quite heartbreaking to be honest. And then now the little crystals. You can either summon into battle, or they'll teach you magic, and eventually that allows you to, boom, make the character whoever you want. Do you want Locke to be the one who has all the healing magic? Yeah, if you want to do it like that. And again, just teach everyone Ultima and just break the game. And we've also not even talked about Kefka, who is considered one of the greatest gaming bosses of all time. Basically, imagine his gaming Joker. He basically has that influence. Kefka is off his head, and there's always a debate about which is the better character between Sephiroth and Kefka. I think Kefka playing it now, he's absolutely deranged. He just wants to see the world burn. But unlike the Joker, who just wants to see the world burn for the fun of it, Kefka does like having the power to destroy the world, whereas I think the Joker just wants to see everything burn. I don't think he wants power per se. I just think if you give him a lighter, he'll just do it, where Kefka wants to be the one to do it. He wants to have that power to make everything burn. That's just a bit of a characterization that I've just seen. And finally, last thing I want to talk about is some of the music. I'd mentioned earlier about the opera scene again, which I've heard many times and will keep singing now. Then there's also the song Dancing Mad, which is possibly one of the greatest Final Fantasy songs I've ever heard in my life, and oh my god, does that hit you when you have it with a full orchestra. And have I forgot to mention that you can suplex a goddamn train? Oh, brilliant. What type of world is it where you can fight a funny octopus and suplex a train? And obviously, the question I'm going to put here, however, who do you think is the main character of Final Fantasy VI? People say it's Terra, I say it's Locke, because for those who have not played Final Fantasy VI, basically they didn't want to make a main character, they kind of left it a bit open-ended. But having played it once again, as I mentioned before, Locke is definitely the main character. He's in it way more than anybody else, and he's the central figure, until you get to the part 2 where it's a bit all over the place. But that is it. That is my thoughts on the greatest Super Nintendo RPGs. Let me know what you think in the comments below, whether you think I'm chatting bubbles, whether you've got answers to any of the questions I put up, or if you think there are ones I've absolutely missed and I'm an absolute moron for it, because I know there are plenty of RPGs I've missed, so you've got to tell me about these things. Until then, I'll see you all in a few days from the video. Please give this like a video and a hype if you think I deserve it, and subscribe for more content. Also, the podcast should be out today as well. We're looking at Rystar, so please go over and have a listen. I'll see you all then. You take care of yourself. My name's been Danny. Follow your dreams.